Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from the Ark Group. Now the the Ark Group, which are part of Wilmington, they actually produce quite a large number of relatively short documents which are more in the form of reports, if you like, with an executive summary at the front, which are looking very much at the management of legal organisations. And this particular one is looking really at human resources and what we used to know as personnel management. The title is Smarter Lateral Hiring for Law Firms. Now we'll try and get some indication of what that means in a minute. It's been edited by Laura Slater, and as I say, the book is a relatively short one. This is the copy of it here. You can see the front of it, and it's relatively small. There's the spine, and then you can see on the back, I'll just put it up front, you can see there's some information about the book itself, some various comments, and as I've indicated, it's part of the, it's a Wilmington legal publication, which is the logo at the back. Now in the front of it you've got, that's the front page there, then you've got a content section, so there's the executive summary at the front, which is always worth reading. Then you've got information about the authors, then you've got various authors listed for each of the chapter headings, and then running through from there you can see there are a total of 12 chapters. And you've then got the summary itself, which runs through a few pages, and then information about the authors themselves. As I said, it's edited by Laura Slater. The authors are Thomas Berman, Mark Brandon, James D. Cotterman, David H. Freeman, Heidi K. Gardner, who I have met, Andre Mack, Patrick J. McKenna, David J. Parnell, Ian Turville, Melinda Wallman and Gareth Ward. And the first chapter gives you an idea of the flavour of this book. Lateral thinking, approaches to senior level hiring in the legal sector. And it runs all the way through to the end of the book. The total number of pages, 127. And the final chapter is lateral recruiting tools. In other words, and this is written by Andrea Mack, this is basically some indication of how you go about finding people in, as it says, in a flat market where organic growth is increasingly difficult to achieve. Firms continue to bank on the considerable benefits that can accrue from lateral hiring. In other words, hiring at the same level for the work that's being done, which of course may be fine for them, but what about everybody else who wants to get promotion over a period of a career in the particular industry they're in? Obviously there is a big argument about selecting from a very narrow strata, but let's have a look and think about what the book is about, because as I say, contributions from a number of people in the 12 chapters. The heading that Elizabeth and I have given, and Elizabeth wrote most of this review, is Memo to Human Relations Department. What's a lateral? In other words, what do we mean by lateral in this sense? And obviously, as I'm taking lateral to mean people possibly being poached from other businesses, but they're all basically at a particular level of eliteness, if you would like to put it that way. Now, I'm going to be very careful when you're talking about words like this, because it gets all sorts of people in a real lather, very hot under the collar, as it were, if you know what I mean. A real difficulty. So HR departments really have to be very careful, because they will know who the people are that they want for particular jobs. And I can remember my brother actually said this years ago to me, because he was a senior person within IT, and he said really the companies, generally speaking, they have to rely very heavily on the quality of the HR people, purely and simply to make sure they keep staff, and that the HR specialists are looking in terms of pastoral care and everything else at the type of people that they have and that they want to keep for their own business. Anyway, let's talk about the book itself. Time was when lateral was an adjective, as in lateral thinking, and so it is in the title of this book. However, as one progresses through the very well-considered, formidably expert and carefully researched advice contained therein, it emerges as a noun, lateral, meaning basically a hot prospect for partnership in your law firm, hired basically from outside, that's lateral, as opposed to those who have achieved partnership by lengthy progress through the ranks. Excuse me. And it's therefore always about this concept of progression, promotion, dead men's shoes, all the other things that many people still associate with the way that one gets preferment and gets on. But of course, what we're looking for here is people looking and tapping other people on the shoulder and saying, we want you for our firm. Now, hence the concept of the lateral hiring. Of course, that is when you have a market, when there are very few people of the same sort of qualities and experiences that you're looking for, you therefore have a very limited market in terms of personnel, a man bank or a person bank or whatever you want to call it, as to who you are looking for. Anyway, as for the word hire, which is also in the title, you probably thought was exclusively a verb. It's now morphed into a noun too, as people who you recruit and hire, verb, are now frequently called hires, noun. If you are a lawyer, you might feel somewhat uneasy that this linguistic versatility might possibly de-personalise the person within. If you're a judge, I should think you consider it to be an absolute fright concerning the use of the English language. However, that is as may be. That's what we've got. So we've got these really rather good words, and I think they're rather wonderful because they are really coming from America, let's face it. But these words have some meaning, and we, at the end of the day, are seeming to take our lead in terms of some of these agenda items from the United States, which is frankly a bit unfortunate for some of us. You might, of course, also feel when you read this book that the same way is going with HR, that's human resources. The professionals, in other words, working at a large or largish law firm, because they're going to know who they want, they're going to know what the senior partners in the organisation wants and what is best for them. Or of course perhaps not. Either way, this book I think should interest you if you are looking for preferment, if you are an HR professional, human resources, human relations, whatever you want to call it, mainly human resources or personnel management. If you are actually involved in that, I think it's very important. We are actually digressing a bit, but let's get back to the book. Seriously, as the practice of law is, after all, fundamentally about people, in all their wondrous complexity, the matter of recruitment looms large for all, or certainly most law firms. And basically, I have to say, it is the same, not just with law firms, but with a very large number of people in other areas of our activities. The reason I'm picking on law is because that's the area we are involved in. Now, there's a new book which comes from the Ark Group on lateral hiring, primarily on the partner level approach that we're looking at. It's about doing your best to recruit the best people and managing them in the best possible way, with a view to improving your firm's prospects for success, whilst at the same time avoiding the undermining effect of possible resentment on the part of those in the firm who may feel they've been passed over for promotion. Now, that happens all the time. We used to have it all the time in the army, passed over majors, all the other things, almost to colonel people, that sort of thing. Very much a problem a few years ago. But the reality is that you may make enemies, you may just not be the right face, and therefore you will only get to a certain level. You may be brilliant and be sure of getting much higher recognition and therefore more money, more prestige and everything else. But at the end of the day, it doesn't happen. And so you end up at a particular rank, basically, because that's what it is, a rank or a grade. And that's really what we're talking about. And they're taking people from particular areas and putting round objects in round holes. Basically, that's what they're trying to do. Recruitment, then, in whatever context, comes invariably with pitfalls, many of which can be avoided, as this book seeks to prove. Now, I can tell you from my own experience as a recruiter, that I'm well aware of the problems that we can actually have when it comes to trying to find the right people for the right sort of jobs. It's not just a question of whether the company likes it, it's whether the person likes the job as well, or whether he or she feels comfortable with an organisation. So here in one compact book, this one, it's a volume that you have instant access to a range of high-powered consultancy from no less than 11 acknowledged experts in what at least one of them, Mark Brandon, admits is a very uncertain science. No question about that. It is hit and miss. I can remember some very rude words being used about human resources, personnel people, and lots of blame being attached. Obviously you've got headhunters these days for quite a large number of jobs. But again, there has been an awful lot of bitterness when people fail. Because the one thing that's horrible, I've had it plenty of times, is to be, you apply for a job and you're rejected, sometimes completely out of hand. And you can sometimes quite often know that it's all a big fiddle anyway, because they've decided who they want and they're just using you for training purposes so that they can improve their interviewing skills. That goes on a lot more than you would like to think, believe me. Anyway, indeed, the very uncertainty of the recruitment process from interview to integration means that expert advice is all the more necessary and helpful. And it's important to note especially the research-backed advice on, for example, the power of collaboration from Dr. Heidi Gardner, whom I've met, charming lady, a very switched-on person. She's a distinguished fellow at the Centre on the Legal Profession at Harvard Law School and the recipient of an international research fellowship at Oxford University's Slater Business School. I didn't actually know about that, but I'm delighted that she did. And certainly I think her essay is well worth reading, if anything, for the prescience that she brings to the subject. Let me conclude by saying that while the book's orientation is obviously American, and I'm afraid that is the case, whether you like it or not, the vast bulk of it is applicable to any substantial law firm anywhere. And as such, it's a purchase, we think, as an investment, more than anything else actually, which any forward-looking firm should seriously consider. And as I've said before, do read the executive summary at the beginning, which give you the basic aims and suggestions, which can be found in what is a short book to read, so 120 odd pages. And the date of publication is cited at 2017. I'm recording this in the summer of 2017, and it's just basically come on the market. There it is again, that's the front cover. Don't really know, it's just got lots of arrows. Not really very informative, but there we go. There's that. Mind you, that's the trouble with personnel management or human resource management. I'm afraid a lot of it is a load of nonsense. I'm saying that very bluntly because they use lots and lots of words, and at the end of the day, it's meaningless. And if your face does not fit, and you haven't got the qualifications or the experience, you're not going to get there. So there we go. I mean, there is always the problem of whether you even bother applying. I certainly never bothered with most of the stuff I saw. I never even bothered thinking about it. I thought, well, that might be a good fit. And then you go all the way through this traumatic business, and you can waste huge amounts of time when all I wanted to do was be a barrister and get on with it, which is what I do. Now, chapter 4, here we go. Cultural screening, steps to ensure your laterals are a good cultural fit. You see, that's an important area again. You see how Americanized this is, the executive summary. To an outsider observer, law firms' perseverance with lateral hiring as a preferred route to growth, in defiance of the dismal overall success rates, must look close to the definition of madness. That's how it starts off with. Well, I don't know about that. I think at the end of the day, anybody is going to be looking for advice about how you're going to find the right people to run your law firm. And this book, I think, gives you a lot of information. It's quite an expensive little book, but Ark have always come up, I think, with some very important publications, which I think the legal profession greatly value. I certainly do. And I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Laura for bringing all this together and all of the contributors for producing a really excellent book. So thank you very much, and do have a look at our review, which is in the journals as well, and it should be on the websites if I can find any to put them on. Thank you to all anyway. Bye bye.